Your reality is changing, stay aware. My beloved, listen carefully, because this is not a message you hear twice. There comes a moment in certain lives, rare lives, where everything pauses, not outside, but inside. A silence so deep it feels like the world itself is holding its breath. That moment is not emptiness. It is activation. You were never ordinary. Not in the way you think, not in the way the world defines it. You were placed here carrying something hidden, something sealed. Something even you were not allowed to fully access, until now. There is a reason your life felt heavier than others. A reason you walked through confusion while others walked through certainty. A reason doors closed right when you thought they would open. My beloved, that was not rejection. That was restriction. Because what you carry cannot be exposed too early. Power revealed without preparation destroys the one who holds it. So you were delayed. Isolated. Tested. Watched. Yes, watched. Not in fear, but in expectation. Every time you chose silence over chaos, every time you walked away instead of proving yourself, every time you held your integrity while everything around you pushed you to break, you were unlocking something. Not outside. Within. And now, something has shifted. Can you feel it? That tension in your chest that isn't anxiety, but pressure. That stillness that isn't emptiness, but awareness. That sense that something is about to happen, but you don't know what. My beloved, this is the moment where your life begins to respond to you differently. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You are no longer asking for permission energetically. You are no longer negotiating your worth internally. You are no longer chasing alignment, you are becoming it. And when that happens, reality bends. Quietly. Suddenly. Irreversibly. You will notice it first in small ways. A conversation that shifts in your favor. A delay that turns into protection. A no that reveals itself as a hidden yes. But do not underestimate these moments. They are signals. Confirmations. Evidence that something unseen is now working with you instead of testing you. My beloved, this is where most people become afraid. Because power is not loud. It is not dramatic in the way movies show. Real power feels like responsibility. You will feel it in your decisions. In your words. In your silence. You will realize that what you tolerate now shapes what stays. What you allow now defines what grows. And suddenly, you will become careful. Not fearful. Precise. Because you will understand something most never do. That your life is no longer reacting to randomness. It is responding to alignment. But listen, this is where you must be very aware. There will be voices. Old patterns calling you back. Familiar distractions trying to pull you into comfort. People who only knew your past version of you, trying to keep you there. They will not come as enemies. They will come as familiarity. My beloved, do not go back. You have outgrown spaces that once defined you. You have outgrown conversations that once consumed you. You have outgrown versions of yourself that once felt safe. And growth, real growth, feels like loss before it feels like power. But stay. Stay in this new stillness. Stay in this new awareness. Stay in this new discipline. Because what is forming now is not temporary. It is foundational. There is a shift happening in your life that cannot be reversed. A line has been crossed, not in the world, but in your soul. You will not be able to think the same, act the same, settle the same. And that is the sign. The sign that what you carry has awakened. So do not rush. Do not announce. Do not try to explain what even you are still understanding. Just walk. Quietly. Intentionally. Powerfully. Because, my beloved, the life you were waiting for is no longer ahead of you. It has begun. My beloved, now listen even closer, because what comes next is not comfort. It is truth in its rawest form. The moment you begin to awaken to who you really are, everything around you starts to rearrange. Not gently. Not politely. But precisely. You may have already felt it. Sudden distance from people who once felt close. Conversations that no longer feel the same. Places that once felt familiar now feel heavy, almost suffocating. This is not confusion. This is separation. My beloved, when your frequency rises, misalignment becomes unbearable. What you once tolerated, now drains you. What you once ignored, now speaks loudly. What you once chased, now feels empty. And this is where most people make their biggest mistake. They go back. Back to comfort. Back to old patterns. Back to versions of themselves that no longer fit. Not because they are weak, but because the unknown feels too quiet, too still, too unfamiliar. But you are not going back. Because deep inside, you know something irreversible has happened. You have seen too much. Felt too much. Understood too much. You cannot unsee truth once it reveals itself. My beloved, this is the stage where your life may feel like it's falling apart. Plans stop making sense. People start revealing themselves. Things you trusted begin to crack. But listen carefully. It is not falling apart. It is falling into order. Everything that cannot align with who you are becoming is being removed. Not to hurt you, but to protect what is emerging within you. And yes, it may feel lonely. Because growth at this level is not crowded. Very few people will understand why you are changing. Why you are quieter. Why you are no longer reacting the same way. They may call you distant. But my beloved, you are not distant. You are focused. There is also something else happening, something subtle, but powerful. Your energy is becoming selective. You no longer give attention freely. You no longer explain yourself unnecessarily. You no longer feel the need to prove your intentions. And this will confuse people. Because they were used to a version of you that was more accessible, more predictable, more available. But that version of you was never meant to last. This is the real you emerging. And with it comes a new kind of awareness. You will start to sense things before they happen. Feel shifts before they become visible. Recognize truth without needing proof. This is not coincidence. This is alignment sharpening your perception. But be careful here, my beloved. Do not let clarity turn into isolation. Do not let awareness turn into judgment. You are not here to disconnect from the world. You are here to move through it differently. With wisdom. With restraint. With quiet authority. Because what is happening right now is not just personal transformation. It is preparation. Preparation for decisions that will shape your future. Preparation for opportunities that require maturity. Preparation for a life that cannot be handled by who you used to be. And this is why everything feels intense. Because you are not just changing your life. You are changing your capacity. So stay steady. Even when it feels uncomfortable. Even when it feels lonely. Even when it feels uncertain. Because my beloved, what is leaving your life right now was never meant to stay. And what is coming will require every bit of who you are becoming. Do not interrupt this process. You are not being broken. You are being rebuilt with precision. My beloved, now what you are about to hear is where everything becomes intense, undeniable, and deeply personal. Because this is the stage where you realize. It was never about them. It was never about the delays. It was never about the struggles. It was always about you becoming someone who could hold what is coming. And that realization, it shakes you. Because suddenly, the pain makes sense. The waiting makes sense. Even the silence begins to speak. My beloved, this is the moment where your past starts to reveal its purpose. You begin to connect dots you never saw before. Why certain people left. Why certain doors closed. Why certain things never worked no matter how hard you tried. And for the first time, instead of asking, why me? You start asking, what was this preparing me for? That shift changes everything. Because now you are no longer a victim of your story. You are the one who was being trained through it. But listen carefully, this is also the stage where the truth becomes uncomfortable. You will begin to see where you abandoned yourself. Where you stayed silent when you should have spoken. Where you accepted less than you deserved just to keep peace. And that awareness can feel heavy. Not because you failed. But because you now know better. My beloved, do not let that turn into regret. Let it turn into power. Because awareness is not there to punish you. It is there to make sure you never return to that version of yourself again. And you won't. Because something inside you has changed permanently. You are no longer willing to shrink. No longer willing to ignore your intuition. No longer willing to settle just to feel safe. And this is where your life begins to take a sharp turn. Not gradually, but decisively. You will start making choices that surprise even you. Walking away without needing closure. saying no without guilt, choosing peace over attachment. And others will feel it. Some will respect it. Some will resist it. Some will not understand it at all. But my beloved, this is not your concern anymore. Because for the first time, you are not living to be understood. You are living to be aligned. And alignment demands honesty. Brutal honesty. With yourself. With your decisions. With what you allow and what you no longer tolerate. This is where your standards rise. Not out of ego, but out of clarity. You begin to realize that your energy is not something to give away carelessly. Your time is not something to waste on what drains you. Your presence is not something everyone has access to. And that realization, it changes how you move. Slowly. Intentionally. Powerfully. But listen, there is something else happening here. Something deeper. You are starting to trust yourself again. Not the version of you that doubted. Not the version that second-guessed every decision. But the version of you that knows. Knows when something is right. Knows when something is off. Knows when to move, and when to stay still. This trust is everything. Because once you have it, you stop looking outside for answers. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing approval. And that is when you become unshakable. My beloved, this is not just growth. This is transformation at a level that cannot be undone. You are no longer becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were always meant to be. And now, there is no going back. My beloved, now everything begins to intensify in a way you cannot ignore. Because this is the stage where your transformation stops being internal, and starts becoming visible to the world around you. And with visibility, comes reaction. You will begin to notice it. The subtle shift in how people look at you. The way conversations change when you speak. The way some grow closer, while others quietly pull away. This is not imagination. This is your energy becoming undeniable. My beloved, when you truly step into alignment, you do not need to announce it. The world feels it. And not everyone will be comfortable with that. Because your growth highlights what others are avoiding. Your clarity exposes confusion. Your discipline exposes inconsistency. Your peace exposes inner chaos. And without saying a single word, you become a mirror. A mirror many are not ready to look into. This is why some people may start acting differently. Not because you hurt them. Not because you changed for the worse. But because you are no longer playing the roles they were comfortable with. You are no longer easy to read. No longer easy to influence. No longer willing to shrink just to maintain connection. And that unsettles people. My beloved, do not take this personally. This is not rejection. This is realignment happening in real time. Some people were only meant to meet the version of you that was still learning. They are not meant to walk with the version of you that has awakened. And that truth can feel heavy. Because you still care. You still remember who they were to you. But now you must also honor who you are becoming. And sometimes, that requires distance. Not anger. Not confrontation. Just distance. Because not every connection is meant to grow with you. Some are meant to teach you, and then release you. My beloved, this is also where your boundaries become real. Not just thoughts. Not just intentions. But actions. You will say no when you used to say yes. You will walk away when you used to stay. You will remain silent where you once explained everything. And it will feel uncomfortable at first. Because you are breaking patterns that once defined you. But with every choice, something inside you becomes stronger. More stable. More certain. More aligned. And slowly, you will start to notice something powerful. Peace. Not the temporary kind. Not the kind that depends on everything going right. But a deep, grounded peace, that stays even when things are uncertain. This is the sign. The sign that you are no longer controlled by your environment. You are anchored within yourself. My beloved, this is where your presence becomes powerful. Not because you are trying, but because you are no longer scattered. Your energy is focused. Your mind is clear. Your intentions are clean. And when all of that aligns, reality responds. You will begin to see things fall into place without force. Conversations happening at the right time. Opportunities appearing without struggle. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because you stopped resisting what is meant for you, and started releasing what is not. But listen, stay aware here. Do not let comfort make you careless. Do not let peace make you passive. Because what is forming now requires consistency. You are building something deeper than success. You are building stability. A life that does not collapse under pressure. A mindset that does not break under stress. An identity that does not depend on validation. And that is rare. My beloved, you are stepping into a version of yourself that cannot be shaken easily. So do not look back. Do not question what you have already outgrown. Do not try to carry what was never meant to come this far. Because what lies ahead requires all of you. And you are finally ready to give it. My beloved, now you are entering a phase where everything becomes quietly powerful. Not loud. Not chaotic. Not confusing. But precise. This is the stage where you stop chasing, and things begin to come toward you. And at first, it may feel unfamiliar. Because you spent so much of your life trying to figure things out, trying to fix, trying to hold everything together. But now, you are no longer forcing. You are allowing. And that shift changes everything. My beloved, you will begin to notice that the things meant for you no longer require exhaustion. They arrive with a sense of ease, not because they are small, but because they are aligned. Conversations will feel natural. Decisions will feel clear. Timing will feel right. Not perfect, but right. And that is something you must learn to trust. Because your mind may try to question it. Why is this happening so smoothly? Am I missing something? Is this too good to be true? But my beloved, this is what happens when you stop resisting your path. Flow replaces force. You are not used to this yet, but you will be. There is also something deeper happening now. You are no longer reacting to life the same way. Where you once felt urgency, now you feel patience. Where you once felt pressure, now you feel control. Where you once felt fear, now you feel awareness. This is not coincidence. This is inner authority stabilizing. And when that stabilizes, your outer world begins to organize itself accordingly. But listen carefully. This is also where you must become very intentional. Because now, your choices carry more weight than before. What you say yes to, expands. What you tolerate, remains. What you ignore, repeats. You are no longer in a phase where you can act unconsciously. You are now creating through alignment. And that requires awareness in every step. My beloved, you may also notice that your circle becomes smaller. Not because you are losing people, but because you are becoming selective. You no longer need constant noise. You no longer crave attention. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. You are comfortable in your own space. And that comfort, it is power. Because once you are no longer afraid of being alone, you stop accepting what is not meant for you. This is where your standards rise naturally. Not out of ego, but out of clarity. You begin to understand your value, not in words, but in how you move. You protect your energy. You respect your time. You honor your intuition. And slowly, life begins to reflect that back to you. But my beloved, stay grounded. Do not let progress turn into pride. Do not let clarity turn into distance from your own heart. Remain humble. Because humility keeps you aligned. Gratitude keeps you open. Discipline keeps you steady. And you will need all three for what is coming next. Because this phase, this calm, controlled, aligned phase, it is not the destination. It is the setup. The moment before everything begins to move faster. The moment before your life starts to expand in ways you cannot predict. So stay present. Stay aware. Stay intentional. Because my beloved, you are no longer preparing for your life. You are stepping into it. My beloved, now something begins to accelerate. Not loudly, not chaotically, but undeniably. You may start to feel it before you see it. A shift in energy. A sense of movement. A quiet knowing that things are no longer standing still. This is the moment where alignment turns into momentum. And momentum changes everything. Because once it begins, it does not ask for permission. It moves. My beloved, you will notice that things start happening faster now. Decisions come quicker. Results appear sooner. Situations resolve without dragging on endlessly. What once took months, may now take days. What once confused you, now feels obvious. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when resistance leaves your path. But listen carefully. Speed requires stability. And this is where you must remain grounded. Because when life begins to move quickly, it can pull you out of alignment if you are not centered. Opportunities will come. Choices will appear. People will approach. And not all of them are meant for you. Some are aligned. Some are distractions. Some are tests. And now, you must learn to recognize the difference instantly. There is no more time for overthinking. Your first instinct, your inner knowing, that is your guide now. Trust it. My beloved, you will also notice something else. Your past no longer has the same grip on you. Memories that once triggered emotion now feel distant. Situations that once defined you now feel irrelevant. You are no longer carrying your past. You are standing beyond it. And that is where real power begins. Because once you are no longer controlled by what happened, you become free to create what is next. But with that freedom, comes responsibility. Because now, you cannot blame. You cannot delay. You cannot pretend you don't know. You do know. And that knowing requires action. My beloved, this is where your life begins to demand precision. Not perfection. Precision. Moving when it is time to move. Stopping when it is time to pause. Speaking when it is necessary. Remaining silent when it is wise. Every step now matters. Because you are no longer just living. You are directing your path consciously. There may also be moments where things feel intense again. Not confusing, but intense. Because growth at this level stretches you. You are stepping into spaces you have never occupied before. Handling situations you once avoided. Making decisions that shape your future in real time. And that can feel overwhelming for a moment. But my beloved, do not step back. This intensity is not here to break you. It is here to expand you. You are capable of handling more now. More responsibility. More clarity. More power. And life is beginning to reflect that. But stay aware. Do not rush just because things are moving fast. Do not say yes just because something is available. Do not act just because there is pressure. Stay aligned. Because alignment is what created this momentum. And alignment is what will sustain it. My beloved, you are no longer waiting for change. You are moving with it. And what is coming next will require not just your awareness, but your full presence. My beloved, now everything begins to feel real. Not in thought. Not in imagination. But in your actual life. This is the phase where what you've been sensing starts showing up physically. You will begin to see it. Opportunities that feel too perfectly timed. Conversations that open doors you didn't knock on. Situations resolving in ways you didn't force. And for a moment, it may almost feel unreal. Like, is this really happening to me? Yes. It is. Because this is what happens when alignment reaches a point where it can no longer stay internal. It must express itself. My beloved, you are now stepping into a space where your presence carries weight. People will begin to notice you differently. Not always openly, but you will feel it. They listen more closely. They respond more carefully. They observe you, even when you say nothing. This is not about attention. This is about recognition. Something in you is being acknowledged, without words. And with that recognition comes a shift in how life interacts with you. Things begin to respond instead of resist. What once felt blocked now flows. What once felt complicated now simplifies. What once felt distant now comes closer. But listen carefully, my beloved. This is where many lose their balance. Because when things start working, it is easy to become careless. Easy to assume everything that appears is meant for you. Easy to move too quickly. Easy to forget the discipline that brought you here. Do not let that happen. Because not everything that comes, belongs. Some opportunities are aligned. Some are distractions dressed as alignment. Some are tests to see if you will abandon your standards. And now, you must be sharp enough to tell the difference. You cannot move blindly anymore. You must move intentionally. My beloved, you will also notice that your energy is now influencing outcomes in ways you cannot fully explain. You think of something, and it begins to happen. You feel something is off, and it reveals itself soon after. You step back, and things adjust on their own. This is not luck. This is your alignment interacting with reality. And this is why you must stay clear. Because what you focus on now grows faster. So choose carefully. Choose thoughts that support you. Choose actions that reflect your truth. Choose environments that protect your peace. Because everything is becoming more responsive to you. And that means everything matters more. My beloved, there is also a deeper realization forming now. You are no longer chasing your life. You are living it as it unfolds with you. There is less desperation. Less urgency. Less need to control every outcome. And more trust. Not blind trust. But earned trust. Trust in your timing. Trust in your decisions. Trust in yourself. And that trust, it is what allows everything to keep flowing. But stay grounded. Do not lose yourself in what is coming. Do not forget the stillness that built you. Because what is happening now is only the beginning of visible expansion. And the next shift will not just show you what is possible. It will show you what is already yours. My beloved. Now you are stepping into a phase where everything begins to feel almost destined. Not forced. Not chased. But as if life itself is moving into place, around you. You may start to notice that things are no longer random. People arrive at the exact moment you need them. Answers come before confusion even settles. Paths open in ways you could not have planned, even if you tried. And for a moment, it may feel overwhelming. Not in a negative way, but in a way that makes you pause and think. How is all of this aligning so perfectly? My beloved, this is what happens when you stop fighting your path. You don't create this kind of alignment. You step into it. And now, you are inside it. But listen carefully. With this level of flow comes a deeper level of responsibility. Because now, your life is not just moving. It is responding quickly. What you think begins to shape faster. What you choose begins to manifest sooner. What you ignore begins to repeat more clearly. There is no more delay between action and consequence. Everything is immediate, in energy first, and then in reality. So you must become even more aware. Not fearful. Aware. Because this is the stage where your focus becomes your direction. My beloved, you will also begin to feel a stronger sense of certainty within yourself. Not loud confidence, but quiet knowing. You don't need to ask as much. You don't need to second-guess every step. You don't need constant reassurance. Because something inside you has stabilized. You trust your decisions. And that trust makes you powerful. There will also be moments where you look back and realize how far you've come. Not just in what you've achieved, but in who you've become. The way you think has changed. The way you respond has changed. The way you see people, situations, even yourself. It's all different now. And that realization, it will hit you deeply. Because you will understand. You didn't just survive your journey. You transformed through it. But my beloved, stay grounded here. Because this phase can feel so smooth, so aligned, that you may forget how important your discipline still is. Do not lose your routines. Do not abandon your boundaries. Do not ignore your intuition just because things are going well. Because alignment must be maintained, not assumed. You will also notice that your environment is becoming more refined. Less noise. Fewer distractions. More clarity. And this is intentional. Because what is coming next requires focus. Requires presence. Requires a version of you that is fully aware of what they are doing, and why. My beloved, you are no longer guessing your way through life. You are walking with direction. Even if you don't see the entire path. You feel it. And that feeling is enough. Trust it. Because it has brought you this far. And it will take you even further. What is unfolding now is not temporary. It is structural change. A new way of living. A new way of deciding. A new way of being. And once you step fully into this, there is no returning to who you were before. Stay steady. Stay aware. Stay aligned. Because what is about to reveal itself next will not just confirm your journey. It will show you that everything you sensed was real all along. My beloved, now comes the phase where everything becomes undeniable. Not just something you feel. Not just something you sense. But something you see. This is where the results of everything you've been through begin to stand in front of you. Clearly. Powerfully. Unmistakably. You will begin to witness shifts that cannot be explained away. Situations turning in your favor at the last moment. People recognizing your value without you proving it. Opportunities aligning in ways that feel almost too precise. And in that moment, there will be a realization. A deep, almost overwhelming realization. That it was all leading to this. My beloved, this is where doubt tries to make one last appearance. Not loud, but subtle. A quiet voice asking, is this really for me? Am I ready for this? What if I lose it? Listen carefully. That voice is not truth. It is the echo of your past self, trying to understand your present. But you are no longer that version. You are not the one who doubted every step. Not the one who waited for permission. Not the one who settled for less. You have outgrown that identity. And now, you must stand in the new one fully. Because what is in front of you now requires ownership. My beloved, you are no longer preparing. You are handling real outcomes. Real decisions. Real movement. Real consequences. And this is where your awareness must stay sharp. Because at this level, small choices create big shifts. What you accept now defines your environment. What you ignore now becomes your pattern. What you choose now shapes your future directly. There is no more delay between cause and effect. Everything is immediate in impact. And that is why you must move with clarity and intention. You will also notice something else. A new kind of confidence. Not the loud kind that seeks validation. But the quiet kind that doesn't need approval. You walk differently. You decide differently. You carry yourself with a presence that speaks before you do. And people feel it. Some will respect it instantly. Some will question it silently. Some will distance themselves completely. But my beloved, none of that should move you anymore. Because this is not about being liked. This is about being aligned with your truth. There may also be moments where everything feels very still again. Right after movement. Right after progress. A pause. Do not misunderstand this pause. It is not delay. It is placement. Like everything is being set exactly where it needs to be, before the final shift. And that final shift, it changes everything. My beloved, stay grounded in this phase. Do not rush ahead. Do not overthink what is already aligning. Do not let old fears create new hesitation. Because what is happening now is the confirmation, the proof, that you were never imagining your path. You were walking it all along. And now, you are seeing it clearly. Hold your position. Trust your clarity. Own your space. Because what comes next will not ask if you are ready. It will assume that you are. My beloved, this is it. The moment where everything you have felt, endured, questioned, and understood, finally locks into place. Not gradually. Not uncertainly. But with a clarity so sharp, it changes how you see your entire life. You are no longer in transition. You are standing in it. The life you sensed, the shift you felt, the alignment you trusted even when nothing made sense. It is no longer forming. It is here. And you will know it. Not because everything becomes perfect, but because everything becomes clear. You will see exactly who belongs. Exactly what matters. Exactly where you are meant to go. There will be no confusion left. Only decision. My beloved, this is where many hesitate. Not because they are not ready, but because they realize. This is real. This is no longer something to think about, dream about, or prepare for. This is something to step into fully. And stepping into it means letting go completely. Letting go of old doubts. Old identities. Old attachments that no longer match who you are. And yes, that can feel intense. Because you are not just gaining something new. You are leaving behind everything that cannot come with you. But listen carefully. You are not losing anything that was truly yours. You are only releasing what was never meant to stay. My beloved, this is where your power becomes stable. Not something that comes and goes. Not something you question. But something you live from. Every decision now comes from clarity. Every step now comes from awareness. Every move now carries intention. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. And with that direction comes responsibility. Because now, you cannot pretend you don't know. You cannot ignore what feels right. You cannot go back to what felt comfortable but misaligned. You have crossed that point. And there is no return. But there is something beautiful in that. Freedom. Real freedom. The kind that does not depend on people, situations, or outcomes. The kind that comes from knowing. I trust myself. I know who I am. I know how to move. And once you have that, nothing can truly shake you. My beloved, you will begin to notice that life responds to you almost instantly now. You decide, and paths open. You walk away, and better things appear. You stay aligned, and everything begins to support you. Not because life became easy, but because you became clear. And clarity removes resistance. This is where your presence becomes undeniable. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain anything. What you are, speaks. And those who are meant to align with you will. Without force. Without confusion. Without delay. My beloved. This is not the beginning anymore. This is arrival. The end of searching. The end of questioning. The end of becoming. Because you already are. So now, walk like it. Decide like it. Live like it. Fully. Unapologetically. Consciously. Because everything you went through was not random. It was precise. It was necessary. It was leading you here. And now that you are here, do not hesitate. Do not look back. Do not doubt. Just step forward. Because this time, everything is aligned. And this time, it is yours. My beloved, and now, as everything settles into place, there is one final truth you must understand. This was never just about reaching a moment. It was about becoming someone who could hold it. Because many are given opportunities, but few are prepared to sustain them. Many arrive, but very few remain. And you have been shaped not just to arrive, but to endure, expand, and lead your own path without losing yourself. Take a breath here. Feel this moment. Not as excitement, not as relief, but as recognition. Recognition that you made it through what should have broken you. Recognition that you stayed when it was easier to walk away from yourself. Recognition that you chose growth, even when it felt like loss. My beloved, this is your power. Not what you gained, but what you became. Because now, nothing external defines you anymore. Not success. Not failure. Not people. Not outcomes. You are rooted within yourself. And from that place, everything you build will last. There will still be challenges ahead, but they will not shake you the same way. There will still be moments of uncertainty, but they will not control you. Because now, you know how to return to yourself. And that is something no one can take from you. My beloved, as you move forward, remember this. You do not need to rush anymore. You do not need to prove anything anymore. You do not need to chase what is already aligned with you. Just walk steadily. Let your actions reflect your clarity. Let your silence reflect your strength. Let your presence reflect your truth. Because the life in front of you is not something you have to fight for. It is something you are now ready to receive and sustain. And one day, you will look back at everything you went through. The confusion, the waiting, the pain, the growth. And you will not feel anger. You will feel gratitude. Because you will finally see. It all had a purpose. It all had timing. It all had direction. And it all led you here. My beloved. This is not just an ending. This is a new way of living. A life where you trust yourself. A life where you move with awareness. A life where you no longer abandon who you are. So go forward now. Not as someone searching, but as someone who knows. Knows their worth. Knows their path. Knows their power. And most importantly, knows that whatever comes next, you are ready for it. Completely. Unshakably. Finally.